What if the dirtiest, most overlooked coins in your pocket could be worth a fortune? Hidden among old, worn, and forgotten Jefferson nickels are rare treasures that collectors are desperately hunting for. Some of these coins, covered in grime and damage, have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. But here's the shocking part. The more unusual and imperfect they look, the more valuable they might be. From rare minting errors to low mintage years, these nickels carry secrets that could change your life. What if I told you a dirty, forgotten 1979 nickel could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and people are still spending them every single day? That's right. A coin most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up could actually be hidden treasure with serious, life-changing value. Now picture this. It's 1979. The U.S. Mint is working at full speed. Billions of nickels are being produced to keep up with demand. At the Denver Mint, marked with a small D, machines are running nonstop. And when that happens, mistakes slip through. Tiny flaws. Overlooked errors. The kind that don't seem important. Until years later, when collectors realize those mistakes are worth big money. Here's the mystery. Most 1979 D. Jefferson nickels look completely normal. In fact, they're so common that people ignore them. But hidden among those billions are a few rare coins that break all the rules, and those are the ones that can change everything. So how do you know if you're holding one of these valuable coins? Start with the basics. Look at the date, 1979. Then check just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. You're looking for that small D mint mark. That tells you it was made in Denver. Without it, you're not even in the game. But here's where things start to get exciting. Now tilt the coin under a light and focus on the lettering, especially Liberty and the date. Do you notice any doubling? Maybe the numbers look slightly thick or shadowed. That could be a double die error, one of the most sought-after varieties. And depending on how strong that doubling is, collectors have paid anywhere from $100 to over $1,000 for the right example. And here's something that shocks a lot of people. Some of these valuable nickels don't look valuable at all. They're worn, faded, even dirty. But that doesn't mean they're worthless. In fact, sometimes that old and dirty look is exactly what hides the hidden treasure. Let's go deeper. Take a close look at the rim. Is it perfectly round? Or does something feel off? If the design is slightly shifted or cut off, you might be holding an off-center strike. These errors happen when the coin isn't properly aligned during minting. And here's the shocking part. If the error is dramatic enough, that nickel could be worth $200, $500, even over $500 depending on condition. Now imagine finding that in your pocket change. But wait, this is where it gets even more interesting. Flip the coin over. Look at Monticello. Focus on the steps. Are they sharp and clearly defined? Or do they look weak or incomplete? A strong strike with full detail, especially on older nickels, is something collectors love. Combine that with an error, and suddenly you're looking at serious big money. Let me tell you a real story that caught collectors off guard. A circulated 1979 D nickel with noticeable strike issues and die were showed up in a coin auction. It wasn't shiny. It wasn't graded high. Most people would have ignored it. But experts spotted something rare, subtle doubling, and an unusual die crack near the rim. That coin sold for several $100s, proving once again that hidden treasure doesn't always look impressive. Now let's reset your attention, because this next detail is something almost nobody checks. Look closely for die cracks and cuts. These appear as raised lines or blobs of metal, often near the edges of the coin. They happen when the minting die begins to break down. And collectors love these because every single one is unique. Depending on size and visibility, these can be worth $50 to $300 or more. And guess what? They're incredibly easy to miss if you're not looking carefully. Now think about that for a second. A coin you might toss into a vending machine could actually be worth hundreds of dollars. That's not just exciting. That's life-changing value hiding in plain sight. And here's another twist. Color can tell a story. Some 1979 D nickels develop unusual tones over time. Dark gray, almost black, or even slightly golden hues. While not always valuable on their own, these colors can signal environmental exposure or minting anomalies. When paired with errors, they can make a coin far more desirable to collectors. Now imagine this scenario. You find a 1979 D nickel. It's worn. It's dirty, but it has slight doubling on the date, a small die crack near the edge, and a strange dark tone. Alone, each feature might not seem like much, but together, that combination could push the value into the hundreds or even thousands. That's the power of knowing what to look for. And here's something that should really make you stop and think. Billions of these coins were made, but only a tiny percentage have these rare characteristics. And most people never check. They spend them, forget them, ignore them, which means valuable coins are still out there, right now, waiting to be discovered. Let's reset again, because this might be the most important part of all. There are rare cases where nickels are struck on the wrong planchet or have major alignment errors. These are extremely rare for 1979 D coins, but when they do appear, they can sell for thousands of dollars. Yes, thousands for a 5-cent coin. That's not just rare, that's big money at its finest. So here's what you need to do. Go through your coins. Don't rush it. Look at every 1979 nickel carefully. Find the D mint mark. Check the date for doubling. Inspect the rim. Flip it over and study Monticello. Look for cracks, cuts, and unusual details. Because one small detail, one tiny mistake, could turn an ordinary coin into hidden treasure. And remember, don't judge a coin by how clean or shiny it looks. Some of the most valuable ones are the ones people overlook. The old, the dirty, the forgotten. Before you leave, I want you to think about this. Somewhere out there, someone just spent a coin worth hundreds of dollars, and they didn't even realize it. Don't let that happen to you. Because in the next video, I'm going to show you a coin so rare, so shocking, that it has sold for *lover $20,000, and it looks just as ordinary as the one in your pocket. So start checking your coins right now and make sure you subscribe, because your next piece of change could be the life-changing value you've been waiting for. Stop what you're doing right now, because a dirty, ordinary-looking 1980 nickel sitting in your pocket could secretly be worth thousands of dollars, or even more. Yes, what most people ignore as loose change could actually be hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. Now imagine this. You're cleaning out an old drawer, maybe a jar of coins you haven't touched in years. You spot a dull, worn 1980 Jefferson nickel. It looks worthless, scratched, discolored, old. But what if I told you that exact kind of coin has shocked collectors before with life-changing value? Let me take you back for a second. The year is 1980. America is dealing with inflation, economic uncertainty, and rising metal costs. The U.S. Mint is pumping out nickels in massive quantities. But in that rush, mistakes happen. Tiny errors, overlooked details. And those mistakes? They are what turn an ordinary coin into big money. Here's where things get interesting, because not all 1980 nickels are equal. In fact, most are worth just 5 cents. But a rare few, especially those from the Philadelphia Mint, marked with a small p, have stunned the coin world. And here's the shocking part. Many of the most valuable ones don't look shiny or perfect. They look old, dirty, circulated, just like the ones people ignore every day. Now listen carefully, because this is where you could strike gold. First, check the date, 1980. That's your starting point. Then look closely under the year. If you see a tiny P mint mark, that means it was made in Philadelphia. This is important, because certain error varieties from this mint are where the real money is hiding. But don't stop there. Now tilt the coin under light. Look at Thomas Jefferson's face. Do you see doubling? Slight shadows around the letters or numbers. That could be a double die error, and some of these have sold for hundreds to over $1,000 depending on condition. And here's something most people completely miss. Check the rim. Is it uneven? Slightly off-center? If the design looks shifted or cut off, you might have an off-center strike. These are rare, and depending on how dramatic the error is, collectors have paid $200, $500, even over $1,000 for the right piece. Now let me tell you about a real moment that shocked collectors. A circulated 1980 P nickel with a strong strike error and visible doubling appeared at auction. It wasn't shiny. It wasn't perfect. In fact, most people would have called it damaged. But experts knew better. That coin sold for several $100s because of one thing, rarity. And that's the keyword here. Rarity creates big money. But wait, we're not done yet. Flip the coin over. Look at Monticello, the building on the reverse. Focus on the steps. Can you clearly see them? Or are they weak, faded, or oddly detailed? Strong or unusual strike details can dramatically increase value, especially when combined with other errors. Now here's another twist that shocks a lot of people. Color matters. Yes, even on a nickel. If your 1980 coin has an unusual tone, like a dark, almost blackened surface or strange golden hues, it might have undergone a minting anomaly or environmental effect that collectors find fascinating. While not always valuable on its own, combined with errors, it can boost desirability. And let's talk condition for a second. Most people think only perfect coins are valuable. That's not always true. Some of the most exciting finds come from coins that look old and dirty. Why? Because they've been in circulation, meaning they had a chance to pick up rare characteristics that mint state coins never did. Now imagine this scenario. You're holding a worn 1980 P nickel. It has slight doubling on the date. The rim is just a bit off. The color looks unusual. Alone, each detail might not mean much. But together, that combination could push the value into the hundreds or even thousands. That's the difference between pocket change and hidden treasure. And here's something that will really make you think. Millions of these nickels were made. Millions. But only a tiny fraction have these rare features. And most people don't even check. They spend them, lose them, ignore them. Which means right now, valuable coins are still out there. In circulation, in jars, in drawers, waiting to be discovered. Let's reset for a second, because this next part is crucial. There are also known die cracks and cuds on some 1980 nickels. These appear as raised lines or blobs of metal, usually near the edges or across the design. These errors happen when the minting die starts to break down, and collectors love them. Depending on size and placement, these can sell $4.50 to several $100s. Not bad for something most people would overlook completely. And then, there are the extreme cases. Coins struck on the wrong planchet. Coins with major misalignments. While rare for 1980 nickels, when they do appear, they can reach four-figure values or more. Now think about that. A coin worth 5 cents, turning into $1,000 or more. That's not just interesting. That's life-changing value for something you already have. So here's what I want you to do right now. Grab your coins. Check every 1980 nickel you can find. Look for the P mint mark. Examine the date. Study the rim. Flip it over. Look at Monticello. Don't rush, because one small detail could mean big money. And remember, the dirtier, more ordinary it looks, the easier it is to miss. That's why these coins stay hidden for so long. Before you go, let me leave you with this thought. Somewhere out there, right now, someone is holding a coin worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, and they have no idea. Don't let that be you. Because in the next video, I'm going to reveal another everyday coin that has sold for over $10,000, and it might be sitting in your change right now. So check your coins, stay curious, and make sure you subscribe, because your next piece of loose change could be the hidden treasure that changes everything. What if I told you a worn, dirty 1983 nickel sitting in your change right now could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and almost nobody is checking for it? That's right. A coin most people overlook every single day could actually be hidden treasure with serious, life-changing value. Let that sink in for a second. Because the story of the 1983 Jefferson nickel isn't just about spare change. It's about timing, mistakes, and the kind of minting secrets that turn ordinary coins into big money. Now go back with me to 1983. The United States is recovering from economic pressure, and the mint is focused on efficiency. Billions of coins are being produced quickly, especially in Philadelphia, where something unusual had just changed. For the first time in decades, Philadelphia coins were now being marked with a P. That small letter changed everything. Because when new systems are introduced, mistakes follow. And those mistakes? They're exactly what collectors hunt for. Here's where things start getting exciting. First, you need to find a 1983 nickel. Then look closely to the right of Jefferson's portrait. If you see that small P mint mark, you're in the right place. That means it came from Philadelphia during a time of transition and potential errors. Now don't just glance at it, study it. Tilt the coin under light and look closely at the date and the word Liberty. Do you see any doubling? Maybe the numbers look slightly thick or shadowed. That could be a double die error. And depending on how strong it is, these have sold $4.100 to over $1,000. And here's the part that shocks most people. These valuable coins often look completely ordinary. In fact, Many of them look old, worn, even dirty. The kind of coin you'd never think twice about. But that's exactly why they slip through unnoticed, and why they remain hidden treasure. Now let's go deeper. Check the rim. Slowly run your eyes around the edge of the coin. Is it perfectly even? Or does something look slightly off? If the design appears shifted or cut off, you might be holding an off-center strike. These errors can be dramatic or subtle. But either way, they can push a coin's value to $200, $500, even over $1, $500 depending on how extreme the error is. Now imagine pulling that out of your pocket. But don't stop there, because this next detail is where things get even more interesting. Flip the coin over and look at Monticello. Focus on the steps. Are they sharp and fully visible? Or do they look weak, faded, or incomplete? A strong strike, especially on a circulated coin, is something collectors pay attention to. Combine that with an error, and suddenly you're looking at serious big money. Let me tell you something that really happened. A collector once found a circulated 1983 P nickel with noticeable doubling and a minor off-center strike. It wasn't shiny. It wasn't perfect. But it had the right combination of rare features. That coin ended up selling for several $100s at auction. And that's the key, combination. Because one small error might not change everything. But 2 or 3 together. That's when the value starts climbing into life-changing value territory. Now let's reset your focus, because this is something almost nobody checks. Look closely for die cracks and cuts. These are raised lines or blobs of metal that appear when the minting die begins to wear down or break. You might see a crack running across the coin, or a small raised lump near the edge. And here's the shocking part. Collectors love these imperfections. Depending on size and location, these can be worth $50, $150, even $300 or more. That's a huge jump from 5 cents. Now think about this. You could be holding a coin right now that looks damaged, but is actually a rare mint error worth real money. That's the difference between ignorance and knowledge. That's how hidden treasure stays hidden. And here's another twist that surprises a lot of collectors. Color matters. Yes, even for nickels. If your 1983 P coin has an unusual tone, dark gray, almost black, or even a strange golden tint, it could indicate environmental exposure or a minting anomaly. While color alone doesn't guarantee value, when combined with errors, it can make your coin far more desirable. Now imagine this scenario. You find a dirty 1983 P nickel. It has slight doubling on the date, a small die crack near the rim, and an unusual dark tone. Most people would ignore it, but you now know better. That coin could be worth hundreds of dollars. And here's something that should really grab your attention. In higher grades, especially uncirculated examples, 1983 P nickels have sold for impressive prices. In fact, coins graded at the top levels have reached into the hundreds and even over $1,000 at major auctions. That's not a rumor. That's documented reality. Now let's reset again, because this next part is critical. There are rare cases of major mint errors, like coins struck on the wrong planchet or with severe misalignment. These are extremely rare for 1983 nickels, but when they appear, they can command thousands of dollars. Yes, thousands. For a coin most people don't even look at. That's the power of big money hiding in plain sight. So here's what you need to do right now. Go grab your coins. Check every 1983 nickel you can find. Look for the P mint mark. Study the date. Inspect the rim. Flip it over and examine Monticello. Look for doubling, cracks, cuds, and anything unusual. Take your time, because one tiny detail could mean everything. And remember, the coin doesn't have to be shiny. It doesn't have to look perfect. Some of the most valuable coins are the ones people ignore, the old, the dirty, the forgotten. Before you go, think about this. Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is holding a coin worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars, and they have no idea. Don't let that be you. Because in the next video, I'm going to reveal a coin so rare, so unexpected, that it has sold for over $25,000, and it looks just like the change you get every day. So start checking your coins, keep your eyes open, and make sure you subscribe, because your next discovery could be the life-changing value ** you've been waiting for. What if I told you a dirty, worn 1984 nickel hiding in your pocket right now could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and almost nobody is paying attention? That's right. What looks like ordinary pocket change could actually be hidden treasure with serious, life-changing value. And here's the scary part: people are spending these coins every single day without even checking. Let's go back to 1984 for a moment. The U.S. Mint is running at full capacity, producing millions upon millions of Jefferson nickels. In Philadelphia, marked with that small but powerful P, newer minting systems are still being pushed hard. And when production speeds up, precision sometimes slips. That's when mistakes are born. Tiny, almost invisible mistakes that decades later turn into big money. Now here's the mystery that keeps collectors awake at night. Most 1984 P nickels look completely normal. In fact, they look so average that they're easy to ignore. But hidden among them are rare error coins. Coins that slipped past quality control and ended up in circulation. Coins that today can be worth far more than anyone expected. So how do you find one? Start simple. Look at the date, 1984. Then check just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. You need to see that small P mint mark. No P? Then it's not the one we're hunting. But once you find it, that's when the real search begins. Tilt the coin under a light and focus on the date and the word Liberty. Look closely. Do the letters or numbers appear slightly doubled? Maybe there's a faint shadow or thickness to them. That could be a double die error. And here's where it gets exciting. Because collectors have paid $100, $300, even over $1,000 for strong examples of doubling on coins like this. Now think about that. A coin you might ignore, turning into serious big money just because of a tiny minting mistake. But don't stop there, because the next detail is even more shocking. Look at the rim. Slowly trace your eyes around the edge. Is everything perfectly centered? Or does the design look slightly off, like it's been pushed to one side? If it has that look, you might be holding an off-center strike. And here's the truth most people don't know. The more off-center the coin is, while still showing the full date, the more valuable it becomes. Some of these have sold for $200, $500, even $1,500 or more, depending on how dramatic the error is. That's not pocket change anymore. That's hidden treasure. Now let's flip the coin over, because this is where a lot of people miss something important. Look at Monticello. Focus on the steps and the details of the building. Are they sharp and clear? Or do they look weak, flat, or incomplete? A strong strike, especially on a circulated, old, and dirty coin, is something collectors notice immediately. And when that strong detail is combined with an error, that's when you're looking at life-changing value. Let me tell you something that actually happened. A 1984 P. Jefferson nickel with noticeable doubling and a subtle die crack appeared in a coin auction. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't shiny. Most people would have overlooked it completely. But experts recognized the rarity. That coin sold for several $100s. And the person who originally had it? They almost spent it. That's how close people come to losing big money every day. Now let's reset your focus, because this next part is something almost nobody checks, and it could make all the difference. Look for die cracks and cuts. These are raised lines or blobs of metal caused by a damaged minting die. You might see a thin line running across Jefferson's face, or a small lump near the rim. These aren't defects, they're valuable errors. And depending on how visible and unique they are, they can sell for $4.50, $1.50, $300 or more. That's a massive jump from 5 cents. Now imagine this. You're holding a coin that looks damaged, maybe even ugly. But in reality, it's a rare mint error worth real money. That's the definition of hidden treasure. And here's another twist that surprises even experienced collectors. Color. Yes, color can matter. Some 1984 P nickels develop unusual tones over time. Dark gray, almost black surfaces, or even strange golden or rainbow hues. These colors can come from environmental exposure or minting anomalies. And when combined with errors, they can make your coin even more desirable. Now picture this scenario. You find a dirty 1984 P nickel. It has slight doubling on the date, a small die crack near the rim, and a dark, unusual tone. Most people would toss it aside. But you? You now know that coin could be worth hundreds of dollars, maybe more. That's the power of knowledge. And here's something that should really grab your attention. In top condition, especially coins graded at the highest levels, 1984 P nickels have sold for impressive prices at major auctions. Some have reached into the hundreds and even over $1,000, depending on quality and rarity. That's not hype. That's reality. Now let's reset one more time, because this next part is where things get truly rare. There are cases of extreme mint errors, coins struck on the wrong planchet, or with major misalignment. These are incredibly rare for 1984 nickels. But when they do appear, they can sell for thousands of dollars. Let that sink in. A 5-cent coin, turning into thousands. That's not just exciting, that's life-changing value. So here's what you need to do right now. Go grab your coins. Check every 1984 nickel you can find. Look for the P mint mark. Study the date and lettering. Inspect the rim carefully. Flip it over and examine Monticello. Look for doubling. Look for cracks. Look for anything unusual. Because one small detail, one tiny error, could turn an ordinary coin into big money. And remember, don't ignore the ugly ones. Don't ignore the dirty ones. Those are often the coins people overlook, and the ones that hold the greatest hidden treasure. Before you go, think about this. Right now, somewhere out there, someone is holding a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and they have no idea. Don't let that be you. Because in the next video, I'm going to reveal a coin so shocking, so valuable, that it has sold for over $30,000, and it looks just like the change you get every day. So start checking your coins right now and make sure you subscribe because your next discovery could be the life-changing value you've been waiting for. What if I told you a dirty, worn 1985 nickel sitting in your pocket right now could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars, and people are still spending them every single day? That's right. What looks like nothing more than spare change could actually be hidden treasure with serious, life-changing value. And here's the part that makes this even more shocking. The rougher and more ordinary it looks, the easier it is to miss. Let's rewind to 1985. The U.S. Mint is producing massive numbers of Jefferson nickels, especially in Denver, marked with that small but powerful D. Machines are running fast, dies are wearing down, and quality control isn't catching everything. And that's exactly where the opportunity begins. Because when minting pressure increases, errors slip through. Tiny flaws. Subtle misalignments. Small details that most people never notice. But those details, they're what turn a 5-cent coin into big money. Now here's the mystery. Out of the millions of 1985 D nickels produced, only a tiny fraction carry the rare features collectors are hunting for. And many of those coins are still out there, circulating, forgotten, or sitting in jars. So how do you know if you've got one? Start by checking the date, 1985. Then look just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. You need to see that D mint mark. That confirms it came from the Denver Mint, the exact place where several known varieties have been discovered. Now don't just glance at it. Study it. Tilt the coin under a light and focus on the date and the word Liberty. Do the letters look sharp, or do you notice something strange? Maybe a slight shadow, a doubling effect, or thicker than normal lines. That could be a double die error. And here's where things get exciting. Because depending on how strong that doubling is, collectors have paid $100, $300, even over $1,000 for coins just like that. Now think about that. A coin you might ignore could actually be worth more than a week's paycheck. That's life-changing value hiding in plain sight. But don't stop there, because the next detail could be even more valuable. Look at the rim. Slowly trace around the edge of the coin. Is everything perfectly centered? Or does it look slightly off, like the design has shifted? If you notice that, you might have an off-center strike. And here's the shocking truth. The more dramatic the off-center error, while still showing the full date, the higher the value climbs. Some of these have sold for $200, $500, even $1,500 or more. That's not pocket change. That's serious big money. Now flip the coin over, because this is where things get even more interesting. Look at Monticello. Focus on the steps and the fine details. Are they crisp and fully defined? Or do they look weak, flat, or worn out? A strong strike on a circulated coin is rare. And when you combine that with an error, that's when collectors start paying attention. That's when a simple coin turns into hidden treasure. Let me tell you something that actually happened. A collector once found a worn 1985 D nickel with a visible die crack running near the rim and slight doubling on the date. It didn't look special at first glance. In fact, it looked damaged. But after closer inspection, it was sent to auction and sold for several $100s. That's the difference between what people see and what experts know. Now let's reset your focus. Because this next part is something almost nobody checks, and it could make all the difference. Look closely for die cracks and cuts. These appear as raised lines or blobs of metal caused by a damaged die. You might see a thin crack across Jefferson's face or a small lump near the edge of the coin. And here's the key. Collectors love these errors because every single one is unique. Depending on size and visibility, these can be worth $50, $150, $300, or more. That's a huge jump from 5 cents. Now imagine holding a coin that looks damaged, but is actually worth real money. That's the definition of hidden treasure. And here's another twist that surprises even experienced collectors. Color. Yes, even on a nickel. Some 1985 D coins develop unusual tones over time. Dark gray surfaces, almost black finishes, or even hints of gold or rainbow coloring. While color alone doesn't guarantee value, when combined with errors, it can make your coin far more desirable and push it into the hundreds of dollars range. Now picture this. You find an old, dirty 1985 D nickel. It has slight doubling on the date, a small die crack near the rim, and a strange dark tone. Most people would ignore it. But you now know that coin could be worth serious big money. And here's something that should really make you stop and think. In top condition, high-grade 1985 D nickels have sold for impressive prices at auction. Some have reached into the hundreds and even over $1,000, depending on quality and rarity. That's not hype. That's documented reality. Now let's reset one more time, because this is where things get truly rare. There are extreme mint errors, coins struck on the wrong planchet or with major misalignment. These are incredibly rare for 1985 D nickels, but when they do appear, they can sell for thousands of dollars. Yes, thousands, for a coin most people wouldn't even pick up off the ground. That's the power of life-changing value hiding in everyday change. So here's what you need to do right now. Go grab your coins. Check every 1985 nickel you can find. Look for the D mint mark. Study the date and lettering carefully. Inspect the rim. Flip it over and examine Monticello. Look for doubling. Look for cracks. Look for anything unusual. Take your time, because one tiny detail could turn a simple coin into hidden treasure. And remember, don't ignore the ugly ones. Don't ignore the dirty ones. Those are the coins people overlook, and the ones that often hold the greatest big money potential. Before you go, think about this. Right now, somewhere out there, someone is holding a coin worth hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars, and they have no idea. Don't let that be you. Because in the next video, I'm going to reveal a coin so rare, so shocking, that it has sold for over $40,000, and it looks just like the change you get every day. So start checking your coins right now, and make sure you subscribe, because your next discovery could be the life-changing value you've been waiting for.